After 14 years of trading supply and demand, this is my number one concept for finding highly probability trade entries. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you how you can increase those risk rewards applying this to the lower time frames. So I'm on the weekly time frame here of the pound US dollar. Now this concept is using fractal structure. Now if you haven't seen the previous videos in this series, I do suggest going through and watching those after this video. And I'll leave the link for this playlist, first video in this playlist above now. Now, the whole concept is around the use of market structure with supply and demand, but it's also using what we call the fractal structure. And I'll show you how this works in a moment. So on this chart, you can see we've got the weekly time frame with some red and blue candles. Now they are just representing areas of imbalances. And if you want to learn more on imbalances, I do suggest watching the full playlist in this channel after you've gone through this video. Okay, we'll go through and explain how you can use these imbalance candles for optimal areas to look for trade entries and potential targets. Now, you'll see in this video how we can use this imbalance on this last push up, okay, as an area to look for potential reversal out of. I'll go through that right now. So understanding first the fractal structure. Now the fractal structure is a key way of looking at the market. Now if you're not sure on how you mark this up, as I go through the chart now, don't worry, because the first video I linked at the beginning of this video will go through exactly how to use this fractal structure. So the fractal structure, we can see where the market is shifting down and we have a new high here. Then this high gets reversed right here. Just about, let me just double check that for you. Let's mark that high off. Yeah, we get reversed right there. So the fractal structure at this point then continues to push up here. Reverse structure there. And from that point, we have another small reversal. We continue down, reversing right here, and eventually reversing again up here. So this is quickly showing you how I look at the chart to mark up my fractal structure. If we're looking at a swing structure, looking at actual market structure here, and again, market structure, if you don't understand how to use it, how to mark it up, how we follow market structure, there are a couple of playlists in this channel I suggest looking at. First is the market structure playlist, goes through exactly how I mark it up, how we look at it. And then there's also the new playlist that goes through marking up different pairs to show you how simple it is to use the 3-line strategy. So we can identify this becomes our low. This is classed as our weak low. We're looking for price to want to run this low based on our swing structure. And this would be our strong high. This is where we have our drop to downside breaking structure low here. Okay, and markets pull back in. Now you can see that we've shifted bullish here. So how would we indicate that the market wasn't going to run for this low after this push down? We use that fractal structure. Now if you remember, I did say that we had this high was our last fractal structure area. And basically this is after we broke this low right here, a fractal break to downside. After this, the shift then is here. We have a new fractal low here in the market that the market never even comes to. And eventually we have another break, okay, to the upside here once again, which breaks that high. Now that is our fractal high. Now in this instant, what we're looking at is we can look for the market to target this high, this fractal high. So we can identify we've shifted here back bullish with a fractal structure inside this larger swing, okay, this trading range here. We're now pulling back to the upside, going against the range itself. This break potential area here is our target. So after we see this break to the upside, we have an area we can mark out, which is right here, an area of imbalance. This is that imbalance I was suggesting at the beginning of this video. Now, if you don't remember what I said, go back, watch it again so you can see what I mean. Prices pull back to this area of imbalance where we look for price to run for this high. So the idea here is once we've seen this reversal, we know we can look for potential buys, okay, after we start to see the pullback to run for this swing high and potentially even take out this high. But how we're going to use this is we'll be looking for lower time frame entry. So we're only looking for this high to be run. This is then our weak high inside this fractal movement. And this understanding the structure is key when it comes to market structure, fractal structure with that supply and demand aspect. Now you'll see how the supply and demand comes into this as we go down to the lower time frame. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to pop over to the next time frame of choice, which is the 4 hours. So what we're using here is multiple time frame analysis, and we're looking to take our entries on the lower time frame. So we're going now with the fractal structure. Even though it's against this swing structure on the weekly, we can still look to trade the fractal structure on the lower time frame here of a 4 hour. So we go in, this is where we see the market reversing. And then we have, this is our low, which the market would have to break, okay? Understand the structure on the fractal on the weekly, and this is the area we can look to target. So when we see the market breaking through here, all we have to do is follow price. Now we can look for short-term entries as well. As price starts to break up, we have a break of structure here. And this leaves an area here of demand. And let's mark it up. You can see the market comes back into the demand. And we can get an entry out of this area to run this high. We then create a new area of demand here in the market. The market pulls back and we expect price to want to run this high. So even after this break on this reversal, we can still look to continue to buy with that bullish trend here on a 4 hour. Okay, this isn't the entry I want to go through today, but the idea of the concept is demand is in control. Okay, so following this fractal structure on a weekly is going to help you with your areas on a 4 hour. So as the market continues to push higher, once again, there's our next run. Mark that out. And what do we have as the market pushes up here? We have another area of demand, but we come back into. At the same time, we have a sweep in the market. Now this is a different type of method entry, but it is an entry method out of an area of tested demand. We run through again this high, but this time you can see the demand created would have failed and we have a break to the downside. Now this is where you can start to understand on that higher time frame, price is now pulling back against the weekly to come back to that area of imbalance. So as the market pulls back to that imbalance, which we'll just go through in a moment, I'll place this back on the chart. We have a continuation of bearish price action. Let me just now go back to that weekly and let me just place this on the 4 hour as well. So there is our imbalance on the weekly. Do you see how the market has gone broken out of that structure here on the fractal? We pulled up and we start to pull back into this area of imbalance. It's understanding not just supply and demand. You need to have the concepts of everything else. Supply and demand is the foundation for your trading. And if you want to learn more on how you can use supply and demand and understand the whole concept of just supply and demand with your entries as well and money management, I do suggest checking out the Profit Trade Workshop. And I will leave a link above now, and there's a link in the description of the video. So once they see price coming into this area for a reversal out, we have to see price now run this high. Okay, this now becomes our reversal point, okay, on the 4 hour. But we're inside this area of imbalance. Is there an easier way can we look for an entry? Well, we apply again that fractal structure. Remember, this is what this video is all about. This concept of using our fractal structure. And our reversal point on the fractal structure is going to be right here. So when we see this wick through, that's a reversal and a potential long we can look to take. And we have an area of demand. So we have an area of demand that we could draw where the markets come back into once before we push through this high. That means I'd expect this low to be swept for an entry. There is our sweep, close back up above. Now you can either wait for this big bullish candle or you could take an entry of the break of the high. So what I'm suggesting is you can look to take an entry after you see the sweep, okay, or you can even look to take an entry if you wish at this level down here. But I suggest to wait for this candle, then look for a breakout if you want to use this style of trading. Now our target, would be this level. Okay, so we've got an 8-to-1 risk to reward there. Not a bad risk to reward, and if you're holding on for this high, you've got an 18-to-1 risk to reward. That's understanding, okay, reading the structure on all aspects, not just our swing structure, our fractal structure, our imbalances, our sweeps in the market, okay, and all that. But this video is more about the fractal structure, and obviously if you want to learn about all the other things separately, there is a playlist you can learn on everything. But let's now look at what happens here. We then have the market pulling back, we sweep through this low, and then we push through the high once again. Now, all we're looking at here is early reversal indication on this level. This is what it's for, early reversal indication. Once we then make this sweep, you could wait for the break of the high, that candle, or you could wait for this candle to close. Or we have another option. Now, I said at the beginning of this video, watch it to the end. I'm going to show you how you can increase that risk to reward. This is understanding reading price. If we just now go down to lower time frames, when we see this sweep happening on a 5-minute, we're going to start to apply the same concepts. So at this point in the market, we have seen the reversal. We've seen the sweep on a 4-hour. And we come down to this area. Where is my last breakout? This is the last breakout of that structure point there in the market. Now my fractal reversal, my main swing structure, shall I say, at this point probably going to be around here. And my fractal reversal would be here. Let's mark that out. In fact, we get rid of this now. I'm going to mark this out as our fractal area. That's our new fractal structure break. Now at this point, we can start to look for areas of demand as the market's making its move. There's a new demand zone. Okay, there's another new demand zone. You can see the market is very bullish. We continue to push up. As we break through the structure now, we create this new demand zone. Now, why is this valid? This is a valid demand because we have another small break of structure. Just mark that out again. There. So we have a break of structure and again, another break of structure. So this demand zone is a valid area to take a buy. And because we're going with a high time frame, we're seeing the 4-hour coming up for that sweep. This is an ideal entry for a set and forget entry with that area. And where would our take profit be? Take profit would be around here. Place. So now we've got, for this swing high, a 23-to-1 risk to reward, okay, on that trade to this swing high. And if you're looking for this swing high, which we obviously the weekly one we're looking for, and let me just go back into price. Let's make sure we got some room below the trade. You got a 72-to-1 risk to reward. So let me go back to the 4-hour. The first target we're looking at there. And we're looking at this. Okay, this is the weekly pullback. Whereas that 72-to-1 risk to reward. And this is the 4-hour swing high for the break. And that's where we're looking at that potential first target. You always want to take partials in the trade. But that is how you can go from a 7-to-1 risk to reward to nearly a 70 risk to reward. If you can hold on to those trades, this is how you can create massive profits in the markets. Now remember, trading, there always comes risk and you can always lose in the market as well. But this is the way you use supply and demand concept with the fractal structure. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you haven't seen the previous videos in this playlist, go back, watch those as well. It's going to help you to understand the fractal structure in more detail. And make sure you watch the next video coming up in this series. And if there isn't already a video out, go back and watch one of those playlists I mentioned. And also, if you want to check out that Profit Trade Workshop, there'll be a link popping up right now.